Okay, I'm going to be doing the 4-2 skills practice worksheet. So you can be working through this worksheet on your own. You have the answers to be looking at, but if you found that you weren't able to do any of these, you can be tuning in here to check and see how to do them. So looking here, we are told in the directions that AC and EB in these circles, both of these are diameters. So that's going to be important. Of circle R, our center is R. Identify each arc as a minor arc, a major arc, or a semicircle. Then find its measure, meaning finding the degrees. So looking here, we need to first figure out 1 through 6, if they are major, minor, or semicircle. So looking here, A to E, we can see, actually, you know what, it's probably better if we find all the degrees inside our circle first. So we know that AC is a diameter, so that means that there's 180 degrees going on here. So if that's 100 and that's 30, our leftover will be 50 degrees, because 50 plus 30 plus 100 is 180. And then under here, if that's 50, then the leftover part here will have to be 130 degrees. Notice that this 50 right here and that 50 there, those make our vertical angles. So those things also apply in circles here. So now that we have all of our degrees in the central angles here, we note that they all add up to 360. It'll be easier to find our arcs. So number 1 is finding arc A to E. So we can define that as a minor arc. And if the central angle is 50, then therefore the arc is 50 degrees. Number 2, from C to B, we can see that C to B is the angle CRB. So if that central angle is 50, then therefore the arc is also 50, making that also a minor arc. D to C will be based off of this 100 degrees. So from D to C arc, so we have that it is again a minor arc of 100 degrees. Number 4 says to find the measure of arc DEB. So notice that there's 3 letters there. So that's going to mean that I have to start at D, then go to E, and then come all the way around to B. I have to go in that order. So DEB, I'm going to highlight this so we can see it. So DEB is going to go from D to E all the way around to B in that order. So that's our whole arc that we're talking about. So we have to add the 30 plus the 50 plus the 130. So we have 80 plus 130 to give us 210 degrees. We know that that's more than 180, so it's a major arc. So major 210. The next one, number 5, arc AB. We can look at our diagram. So from A to B is 130 degrees. So that's minor 130. And then our last one up here is number 6, C to D to A. So C to D to A. And remember, we have to go in that order, C, D, A. That is all of that. So we can add up all these angles, or we can also see that's based off of our diameter. So that means it is a semicircle, 180 degrees. So we just found the measure of all of our angles there. 7 through 14 are going to be exactly the same way. If you want, I could find these angles for us in case that's a confusion, but we have 40 here, 50 here. So if we base this diameter here, then that will be 90. So therefore this also has to be 90. And then if we base this, so 50, 40, and we have that missing piece, or 90, 40, this will have to be 50 right there. So that should help us have all of our angles there. So then when we come to do this one, we should be fine. Any questions on that, just message me on those. But I want to jump down to number 15. It says to work in our circle D here, and we are now finding the lengths of the arc. So different than the measure. So up here we're finding like the degrees. Down here we need to find out how long. So it's going to be important that we work with our radius here. So right here we have that LM is the arc that we need to find. We need to find how long our LM is. So how long is that? So we're going to need to use this 100 degrees, but we're also going to be working with this 5 inches here. So from our notes, we're going to work with our formula of taking our angle and dividing it by 360 and then multiplying it by our circumference, so 2 pi r. So plugging in, we'll do 100 divided by 360 and then multiply that by 2, multiply that by 3.14, and then multiply that finally by 5. So totally fine to use a calculator for this whole thing. So we'll do 100 divided by 360. We'll then multiply that by 2, multiply that by 3.14, and then finally by 5, and we get 8.72 inches. It says to round to the nearest hundredth, so we'll do the 2 decimals there. So number 15 is going to be, what did I say, 8.72 inches. Number 16, careful, it says the diameter is 3 yards, so make sure you're using the radius of 1.5 yards, but you'll do the same thing just based off of MN, having to make sure that you find the degrees there. So figuring out in our circle down here that if this is 50 and 60, that adds up to 110, so this angle right here has to be 70, and then for the whole circle, this will have to then be 80. So if we're working with MN, we'll be working with 80 divided by 360 times 2 times pi times 1.5. Put that in the calculator and you should get number 16. And I think all the other ones are okay. If you have any questions on any of those, you can let me know also. Thanks.